In a world of challenges and uncertainties, hope shines as a beacon, guiding us through the dark times and showing us the way to brighter days ahead. But what exactly is hope? Where does it come from? And how does it shape our lives? I'm Annie Bennett, and I'd love you to join me on this journey as I explore the meaning of hope. I'll delve into philosophical perspectives, personal stories, and scientific insights to understand the power of this elusive emotion. So whether you're seeking inspiration, comfort, or simply a deeper understanding of the human spirit, let's embark on this exploration together and discover the extraordinary power of hope.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Chronicles of Hope with me, Annie Bennett. Today I'm delighted to have a special guest with me. My special guest describes herself as an architect of change, and I love that, and I shall be asking her about that. She is an internationally acclaimed motivational speaker. She is an energy transformation coach. Who doesn't need one of those in their lives? And she's also, and I'm definitely going to ask her about this, she's also an actress. And she's actually, I don't know if you know this, she's appeared in one of the favourite films in my family. That gets played in my house a lot. So I shall definitely be asking her about that. I have today with me the fabulous Buckso Dhillon Woolley. Welcome, Buckso. It's so lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you for asking me as well.
You're very, very welcome. Now, we're going to be talking about hope. This is what my podcast is all about. We talk about hope. But what I'd like to do is introduce my listeners to you. Can you tell us a little bit of your background, perhaps where you come from and your journey so far? Could you fill us in?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm 52 now. I was born and raised in Stoke-on-Trent, and I left when I was about 16, just before 3 months before I turned 17. My dad bought a business in Derbyshire, and so I left school with no qualifications. So I was therefore eligible in his eyes to help him run his business, which I did. And I left school, like I say, with no qualifications. So I didn't go to uni or college or anything like that. And I did that for about 7 years, worked my way up in the railway. I went and worked at the railway then and met my husband there, who I'm still with nearly 27 years later. Wonderful. And I've got 22-year-old twins. Born into a first-generation Indian immigrant family. So I'm middle child of 6. So I've kind of probably been the one that's massively strayed, in quotes, from the normal path. Normal doesn't really exist for me. And so over the years, kids obviously take up your life. They take up your headspace. They take up space. Full stop. You kind of put what you want on the back burner. But I always had a desire to break into the world of acting. Never thought about it again after leaving school. Having done drama, I obviously then thought that was just a dream. And so when I was 37, 38, I was introduced to an agent by a friend who I've since been with ever since. So I'm quite loyal. He took me on, and that's when the acting journey started. And then over the years, I've sort of done that and done odds and sods in between, jobs wise, to keep the wolf from the door, as it were. But recently, sort of like the last 5-6 years after my dad passed 5 years ago, January 2025, it'll be 5 years, things took a massive turn in my life. And I've always been sort of like in the spiritual realms with what I think and believe, but it came with gusto in my awakening this last 5 years, where I kind of have finally succumbed to the idea and the concept that my life purpose is to in this lifetime is to be the voice for others until they find their own. And it's no surprise that I found my voice when I was 13, because on paper it shouldn't have happened. And those of you who know the kids TV program Why Don't You from the 80s will recognize the tune from, I think it was 1985 that I sang the theme tune for that one. And that's when I got a love for all things studio, microphones, theatre, stage, whatever. That's where I realized, oh my God, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
And although I'm not doing it in the ways today that people might think I would be, I'm certainly going down that route of, in my coaching and energy healing work, to become the voice for others until they find their own.
Fantastic. You know, I used to watch Why Don't You? I didn't realize it was you that sang it. That's that's incredible. I used to watch it with my cousins when I was little.
Oh, I loved it.
Fantastic. So, you know, if we're talking about hope, let's talk about, you know, with that 13-year-old Buckso. What
Mm.
what were your hopes then? Were your hopes to be in the theatre or on
Gosh.
film or?
Well, as soon as I sang that theme tune and I knew that I could sing, I was like, oh my
Mm,
gosh, I want to be a singer. I want to be an actor. I want to be on stage. And my dad obviously was just more concerned with a family of 8 about being able to put food on the table,
yeah,
etc., and to keep a roof over our head. As a first generation immigrant, you know, you're operating almost always from survival mode, aren't you?
yeah.
And so looking back now, I understand where he was coming from. But of course, that didn't serve me very well in feeling supported in
Yeah.
everything. But I just knew deep down, I just knew that I got to do this.
Mm,
And I never deviated from that. There was something inside
mm,
me that was committed with the, you know, real conviction that
mm,
this is something that I must do. I have to do this. I
mm.
didn't know. So I think I was practicing the law of attraction back in those days, you know, because I didn't know how it was going to happen. I
Right.
just knew, committed to the concept that it's got to happen. It has to. This is what I'm supposed to do this. So
Yeah.
it helped me to, let's say remain focused. It helped that compartment to remain open in the back of my mind
Yeah.
at all times.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't directly focused on it, it was a door that was now open in my mind.
Yeah. Because I think so many people, don't they? They have a dream when they're younger and they grow up and they start whatever it is, career, or they have children or they get a mortgage or whatever, which is sort of what happened to me. And they shut that down, don't they? They shut their dream down, which is sort of what happened to me because I would have loved to have gone into acting and singing and things. Um, but I decided to go down the, steady income route as a teacher. And yeah, I did. I shut that down. But you obviously kept it bubbling away in there and you never let the flame go out, did you?
No, because you know, when you come to the realization that actually I'm not any good at anything else. I wasn't academic. I wasn't academic. I was never going to be somebody that was studious in her, you know, absorbing of information. It had to be something practical, something that gave
Mm,
me a feeling. It was very much from a creative space and place. And I felt something by being on a stage. I felt something by being
mm,
expressive through my voice. It
mm,
gave me a feeling that nothing else
yeah.
ever gave me. And I was always ambitious because when I ended up starting to work at the railway here in Derbyshire, which is where I now live, back in 1997, which is where I met my husband 6 months later, I had no intention of staying mediocre. It just wasn't in me. I was
Mm,
always going to strive for something better. And I do think that's something in you that doesn't go away,
mm,
irrespective of what life tries to pile on top of it. I do think that there is that essence of that runs through you that if you keep connected to it, will remain alive. And I was always going to work my way up in the railway as well into management, but then I had twins. So in 2001, I had twins, and of course back then there was no job share, there was no part time, there was no option, and the railway is quite archaic in its what's the name anyway, the way it operates. It's
yeah.
very old school in its thingy because people stay in them jobs for years and years, and of course they don't move with the times, so the way they think and whatnot can remain quite stuck in the past.
Mm,
But then I had to leave. Otherwise, I would have worked my way up into management. For sure, I would have been in management today.
yeah.
And I wouldn't have been acting. But then that goes to show that life was putting me on the path to be this performer and this, you know, great orator on the stage that speaks. And because that was the essence of who I was,
Mm.
really.
I mean, I think having been a teacher for 30 years, and I left the profession very disillusioned that actually the curriculum as it stands, particularly in the UK, just doesn't serve the majority of the children, because it, you know, had it done so, you would have found your power and you would have found
Correct.
your essence.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's so, oh, don't get me started on school curriculums, but it, you know, it's basically on getting children as a percentage through the final hoop. And although schools may sort of say, oh yes, we talk about the child's potential, it's rubbish. They don't. They're focused on that potential. So yeah, that the whole idea that we come out of education and then we actually start learning who we are.
Exactly.
Isn't it? It's you know,
Exactly.
that's what happens
And
to me. Yeah.
yeah, and being exposed to things at a
Mm,
young age, I think, is imperative. And we are only exposed to certain things within the school curriculum because
mm.
they have to stick to guidelines.
Yeah.
And yes, in that moment, I did drama, I did music, I loved how I felt when I did them. But as somebody from a cultural perspective who was never going to be exposed to after school clubs, I mean, were they even a thing in the 80s? I don't know if that was even a thing you could do where you
Mm,
stayed on and did something that might have exercised that muscle within you. On paper, like I say, it shouldn't have happened. So why did it?
mm.
And you have to have these questioning moments, these reflective moments, to really understand and give you. That's where you get the hope from. That's where I got hope from, because it's like,
Yeah.
but why did that happen then? That wasn't a coincidence. Out of six of us, I'm the one that can sing. You know, my sister younger than me, she played an instrument at school. You know, she liked to do the trumpet and whatnot. I think she did that for a bit. She didn't pursue it thereafter.
Mm.
Obviously, it wasn't something that she loved enough to want to pursue.
Yeah.
But I really did. I really loved the whole ta-da being like this. And maybe it's a middle child syndrome. Maybe it's middle child syndrome, feeling seen and
I
heard.
know
Do you
that
know what I mean?
feeling. That's exactly me as well. The jazz hands. We're jazz
I'm
handing.
telling you. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a thing.
Yeah,
I do think that's
it
something that
is.
people should investigate. If you are a middle child, honestly, honor yourself
Yeah.
and really focus on that fact that it's a need, that
Yeah.
maybe something from a childhood that
It could
want
be
to be
an
seen and
attempt.
heard.
Yeah. Well, I'm the youngest child, but I think that, you know, when you're the youngest child, it's the, what's the phrase about loud voices get fed, or what's that phrase? I can't remember.
Well, it's a squeaky wheel
Yeah.
gets the oil,
Yeah, that's it.
right? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's that sort of thing, isn't it?
So you know, you have to be seen and you have to make your presence known to actually, you know, get anything back, don't you really? You can't just sort
Yeah.
of sit quietly in a
Feel
corner.
relevant,
Yeah,
feel a part of
yeah,
something. You know, otherwise you are going through life to, like, you know, flotsam jetsam, just being,
yeah.
which is what happened to me. I ended up feeling like a bloody, what is it, pinball in a machine. I just reacted
Oh, right. Yeah,
to
yeah.
everything in life. Everything was just a reaction thereafter when the twins came along, because it wasn't part of the plan. You know, as
Ah,
blessed as I feel having twins, it was like, yes, we were trying to have a child after we got married, but I was going to go back to work after a certain amount of months, and that would be it. But of course, it didn't. It just, the decision got taken out of my hand, and because I didn't have much of a supportive network around me,
mm,
or people that would say to me, you should try this. Have you considered that? Think about this. I just thought, because of the life choices that I've made, I married outside of my culture. I married
mm,
an English chap. I thought it was one of those, you know, suck it up, buttercup, made your bed, lie in it, you know, and I kind of, we can go through a life beating ourselves up with them sorts of comments as well to ourselves, that we just go through life struggling, doing it on our own because we don't or daren't ask for help, because that's what you wanted. So
yeah.
you suck it up, you know?
Was that the attitude that was sort of around when you
No,
married
that was
your
me. That
family?
was me
That was
doing it
just
to
you.
myself.
Oh, right,
Yeah, I was
right.
doing that to myself. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Mm,
It was never met with open arms. We didn't speak for 7 years after the fact. And I knew that was going to be the case because I'd gone against the grain. I'd gone, you know,
mm,
sacrificed something for something else. Right. And this is what people
mm.
don't understand. It's like when we have hope, it can come at a price. You know, you've
Yeah.
got to keep the
Oh, yeah.
hope there. The hope comes, you know, the hope and inspiration that you get doesn't come from sitting still and
Mm,
staying safe. Okay. You're never going to get hope and maintain that sense of hope if you're not moving.
yeah.
And I had to have that hope within, that something was going to come that was better than what I was being presented with now, because I was making movements, I was moving forward, I was
Mm,
heading towards something. So surely, stay living in hope, I was keeping focused on that.
yeah.
Because if I hadn't got hope, then what have I got?
Well,
Really?
exactly. Exactly. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That hope has to be proactive. You can't just sit and wait for everything to come to you, can you? And
Never.
I'm such a believer of that in life, the
Yeah.
that I teach and everything. You've got to go out and get it. You can't just sit there and expect everyone to come to you. And
And
absolutely, hope is part of that. You've got to be proactive with it. You're so right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people say, it's used, and we have to be very careful about the verbiage that we use as well, because it is the power of the spoken word backed by intention is hugely powerful. Okay. And when you're sat there and dormantly sat there and saying, oh, well, we live in hope.
Mm,
Do you though? Do you?
mm,
Or is it just a phrase, a throwaway phrase? Do you really understand the concept of what it is to be hopeful,
mm,
actively hopeful
mm.
in
Yeah.
something? Because you can't just sit there and be passive in this. You just can't.
Mm. Absolutely. So
Mm.
let's move on a bit. So you had your twins, who are actually probably about the same age as my girls. That mine were born around the 2003. Um, and then you said it was a bit later on that the acting happened.
Yes, so they were about 5 years old at the time. Five, and 2008. So, yeah, about 5 years old at the time.
Right.
And a friend of mine was working as a runner on a TV show.
Mm.
So he lived in London, and just chatting to the chap that was at the time head of Italia Conti Stage School.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he had been brought in to give some drama coaching lessons to some of the participants of this reality show, where they had to pretend to be a soap star, but they were actually something else, and you had to spot the fake. Okay,
Oh,
so
that rings a
so
bell.
this
Yeah.
this one was like something to. I mean, I think it was actually porn star to soap star, to be honest. This particular one. So you had to find out who the fake was, but of course he's giving them coaching and whatnot.
Mm.
And he was just speaking to a friend of mine, saying, he's recently launched his own agency. He's been going 6 months, and he'd like to take him on, if he was open to that. And of course, as is anything, in that you hope with anything, with everybody, that somebody says your name in a room that you're not in.
Mm.
And he did, my friend. He mentioned my name because he knew I was doing background work at the time.
Right.
Because at that time I was so sort of lost in my journey. I was like, I'd tried call center work, I'd been at Asda, I'd been, a training company. I just wasn't fulfilled. And I was like, what am I going to do? What do I do? I still want to be an actor. What can I do? I haven't got any qualifications, but what can I do? So back then, Star Now was a very popular website. Back then, very popular, just starting out. So I registered with them and I started doing background work.
Mm.
And so this friend of mine knew that I was doing background work, because that's all I thought I could ever be good for. And hey, I'm on set anyway. It's great. I'm loving life right now. And so when he knew that I was doing that, so he told this agent about me, and he said, yeah, I'll see you. I'll give it a go.
Mm.
So I went down, auditioned for him really badly, because I didn't know what a monologue was. So I picked Roxy out of Chicago, who I was never going to play at 5'3". Her legs are probably as tall as me, but I took direction well.
Mm.
So I lost, I fluffed my lines, but he gave me direction and would like, do this, now do it like this, and flip me about and switch me, and I would give him what he needed in
Mm.
that moment. And I swear that's probably what he saw,
Yeah.
something in me. Anyway, he saw something in me and he took me on. So 3 months later, I landed my first role on Coronation Street.
How exciting. How
Yeah.
exciting was that?
And scary.
I bet.
So scary. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because I was just like used to being a background artist. So
Mm.
when it came to that day, I was playing the role of the registrar that married Tony and Carla.
Okay.
And so when I was waiting to go on set, the runner was saying, "Okay, Buckso, so you can they'll call you when they're ready for you. So if you just want to go and take a seat in the Winnebago, there's a couple of other actors in there." I was like, "Okay, yeah." And watched them walk off, and I was like, promptly made my way back to the supporting artist bus that they sit on, because that's where I felt comfortable.
Yeah.
That's where I felt I belonged. That's where I felt safe. That's where I was familiar.
Mm.
And it became a massive, my imposter syndrome became a huge issue for me right up until, from that point, 2008. right up until 2000, 10 years later, 9, when I filmed Aladdin. And that was in 2017 when I got that role. And I asked the chap that was assistant to the musical director, and I said to him, because we had a bit of time in the car traveling back from the recording to the base, I said, so where, because you don't ever get a chance to ask. You don't ever say when you get on set, so what made you pick me then? You just wouldn't ask that question.
You just get on with it, yeah.
You do that. But in this moment, I was fascinated with the process on something as big as a Disney film like that. I said, how does it work in something like this? How do you get to pick a person to do what I did? What is the process? And he said, well, you put the call out, you're sent audition tapes back. We went through them, and we picked 6, one of which was you, sent them over to Guy Ritchie with a recommendation that he went with you. So in that moment, it was, they picked me. I wasn't second best. The other person didn't fall sick, and I was asked afterwards. They picked me. They wanted me. Do you know what I mean? And in that moment, I felt I'd arrived.
Yeah.
Right. I've done brilliant stuff before that. All the soaps. I've been on all the soaps. I've been in Silent Witness, Unforgotten, Last Tango in Halifax, Ackley Bridge, Waterloo Road. I've done all of them. Right. And then I've done the West End. I was in the West End in 2015 for a year with Bend It Like Beckham. And then I did this a year later. And so, on paper, people would say, you mean you done all that and you only felt it then? And I was like, yeah. Genuinely. Wow. I only felt it because of the self-talk. And it goes back to the thing around hope. I always hoped, like you do as an actor, I always hoped I'd get a phone call. I'd always hoped I'd get, you live in hope as an actor all the time. I always hoped I'd get that gig. I still live in hope that, okay, the phone's not ringing as often these days. Not that it did loads anyway, but weeks are going by now where the phone doesn't ring, or, auditions not landing. But I'm okay with that because now it's in order of priority in my life after my dad's passing. It's kind of dropped second on that list. We always say, where energy flows, energy goes. And, if I'm not focusing on being an actor and being all actory and doing all actory things, then I guess that sort of energy isn't going to be prevalent in my life. And I'm okay with that. But I'm also hopeful that I am still, because it's still a part of me.
Yeah.
This is why I love speaking on stages, because I get to be the entertainer and the persona in that moment, even though now I'm not operating from anything fake. It's me, the truth, the version of me that I am actually now through my healing journey this last 5 years. So I love that and being able to do that and be that. But I still live in hope constantly of getting that one role that gives me that consistent income where I know what I'm doing for 2 years or a year and being in something that actually I love. Whereas before, it would have been, before my dad's passing, it would have been, oh, you've got a role on something. It might not have been something that I'd be like, oh, I don't really want to do that, but you'd take it because if you didn't, somebody else would.
Yeah.
Now it's like, actually, does that align with me? I don't really want to, like I've turned down, auditions to do things which are what I now feel, because I feel that I am in that space.
Yeah.
I've done 5 or 6 episodes on a particular soap. It's like, why do I have to audition for 2 scenes? You know what I do. You know what I'm about. Why have I gone backward in time?
Yeah.
And so now time is a very important thing to me. So it's not me thinking I'm something big, better than anybody else.
No.
I just don't feel that desperation that actors have. Yes, I'll have it. I'll have that. What's it paying? 150 quid, and it's going to cost me how much to get there? That's fine. I won't make any money. That's fine. I'm just not going to do that.
But it really sounds as if you really know your worth now.
Value. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I had to go through those processes to get to this point. It doesn't just happen to you because, well, we're older now, we don't care. No, I do still care.
Yeah.
I do still care because I value who I am and the contribution that I bring to anything, whether it's a client's personal life through the coaching that I do, or whether it's being part of an ensemble, or whether it's being on set in a scene with 3 other people. I know the value of what I bring. So I stand there, not with my chest out from a place of entitlement, because I've gone through these many courses and I've spent thousands of pounds with coaches. So you better listen to me. I've been to RADA, so you better give me the job. No, it's not entitlement.
No.
It's from lived experience that's gained wisdom, that's brought me to this inner knowing that nobody can take away. It's unshakable. So when you live in hope from that place, nothing else matters.
Yeah, I just love that. Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, I will die living in hope. That's it, because that's a choice that I'm making. It's a choice that I'm making. It's a decision that I've made and committed to with conviction, that I will constantly live in hope, and nobody will ever take that away from me, because I don't give anybody permission to do that.
That's
We're only ever that's it. We're only ever giving permission to people to treat us the way they do and speak to us the way they do and allow it, you know. And this is where you have to come back to the empowerment thing, which is where I sort of start everything from, you know.
Yeah. So tell us more about the big change that happened to you. Did you say about 5 years ago when when your father died? Yeah.
Bearing in mind that I, you know, didn't essentially have a relationship with him, because everything changed when I made my life choice of marrying outside of my Indian culture. You know, all the 5 siblings did the usual, normal, expected thing. I knew from the age of 11, 12, it wasn't going to be my path. So for me to travel the path known was far scarier than the path unknown, the dark path that had no lighting. I was consciously choosing that because I knew the outcome of that path was far scarier than the unknown. I was that aware, even though I only started to self-actualize at the age of 47 after Dad passed. But then I had the inner knowing, and I've always had that gift when it comes to claircognizance. I've got a knowing. I've got the knowing of things. And so when he passed in 2020, January, I had all these questions coming up. I've been in the world of spirituality. I've been going to psychic fairs and seeing mediums and all of that since I was 19, 20. So I kind of had an idea of what life was about. I was okay with things. I knew what happened. So what was all these questions? Why were all these questions coming up? Because there was a part of me that got cracked wide open internally that I only ever describe as the Mariana Trench. As you'll know, is in the South Pacific Ocean. It's the deepest part of the South Pacific, that if Everest was at the bottom, you would still be 2 kilometers short of the surface. That's how deep it is. And that's the analogy that I use, because I can't explain it any other way. I went to the Mariana Trench of my soul in this last 5 years, where I was stripped of everything that I had grown to know, not necessarily like, but not even trust, but it was my identities. Stripped of all the identities, stripped of all the belief systems, the indoctrination, the programming that I'd been brought up with. Because now that my dad wasn't here, why was I doing what I was doing? Why do I now feel that acting doesn't really tick a box? Do I still want to be married to my husband that I've been trying to prove myself to? I realized in all this time I've been trying to prove to my dad. I'll make it as an actor. I'll show you subconsciously. I'll show you this marriage will work. I'll show you. And I'd spent all my time doing that subconsciously, that when that crutch had gone, I was like, whoa, discombobulated all over the place. And so I had to go back to the drawing board. I went back to the point zero of creation, where really I got to make the life choices from a place of consciousness. So I became very conscious very quickly. And when you have all those cords that are attached to you, etheric cords, invisible cords that families attach to you, that you attach for your survival, for your reasoning, for your being here, your existence, when you live your lives constantly codependent, people pleasing and all that crap, and that's all taken away, you are left with yourself. And oh my God, who am I? Why am I doing what I do? Do I still want to do this? Do I still want to be married? All these questions came up. So I had to do a lot of soul searching. I went to death of ego massively. You know, I've still got a little bit, obviously, to function in this world, but I'm very aware. And my daughter was amazed to see me self-actualizing at this age. And I said, yeah, how lucky you are that you get to do this at 20, well, what would she have been at the time? 18, 19? That she was getting to witness my healing journey. which in turn was only going to do her benefit.
Yeah.
You know, because the healing then is past generational. And so my mission then, my sisters and everybody else's is different because their experience was different with my dad. My thing became time. What am I doing with my time on this planet? We all have these moments in life where we have those turnkey moments where it's, wow, why am I here? I'm lost. What's my purpose? Everybody wants to put it down to how do you get to that age? It's emptiness syndrome, isn't it? Actually, no, it could also be an awakening.
Yeah.
It could also be your time to actually remember why you're here. I mean, it's a good job we don't remember all our lifetimes if you think that way, if you're that way inclined, because we wouldn't, you know, mentally be very stable. But you hear of kids that remember past lives and talk about past lives because they're so fresh out of that other world. But our job, our only job on this planet and living here is to remember why our soul chose to come back. The very essence of you. So I now have people saying to me when I'm doing speaking and whatnot, because I'm so expressive from my soul now, they think they know me. And so I have to go through that whole, I've been on telly. I don't like to lead with that because it's very distracting for people. And they go off on a tangent and it's like, no, that's not why I'm here. Let's bring it back down to the truth of why we're here. And they'll say, no, I don't have a telly at home. I don't watch TV, but I feel like I know you. And I said, well, let me tell you what that is. Another possibility for you is that your soul that's made up of the same stuff as mine, that's the one thing that we have actually got in common, is now my soul is so expressive and is the window is open, the door's open, and your soul is looking out of its window and waving at my soul because it recognizes the very same thing.
I love
the
that.
same thing. Yeah. They're made of the same thing. They're like, hey, soul family. Hey, I see you. And there's something in her humanness that's trying to make sense of this feeling that she's got inside of her that's like making her feel so familiar with me. Oh, I love your energy. And that's what I get a lot. I love your energy. I really love your energy.
Oh, it's fabulous. Yeah.
No, so, and there's that connect, and that's what it is. When you live from that place, everything is effortless. People approach you, business approaches you, you know, opportunities come to you because you're so aligned in your journey of what you're doing, because we are the reasons there's obstacles. We are the reason there's problems in our life. Life isn't, it's not that difficult. We create more problems when we give things a meaning, when we try to make sense of what's happening, when actually we should just allow a lot more. Allow it to move through. It's trying to move. You're blocking it by resisting. Allow it to move through. Let this happen. Let it happen. Let it come. Don't put up the barriers and ignore it. You know that, bury my head in the sand. Resistance. It's not going anywhere. It wants to move through you. Allow it.
Allow it,
Allow it to move through. And it's only going to feel more difficult the more density and trauma and inner work we haven't done. So now stuff passes through me and it's gone within a day.
Yeah, it's amazing. One of my favorite quotes, and I've used it on my blog, is life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And exactly. I think, you know, that's sort of in a nutshell, isn't it? Because
it's always a choice.
You know, have completely different reactions to the same things.
Exactly.
And it's how you choose. You do.
It's always a choice.
Yeah.
People don't realize, and there's this, I mean, my son's guilty of it. It's interesting having twins, same age, male and female. And I know our brains are predisposed to being negative bias. You know, if you've got a box full of puppies, you open it up and there's a box full of puppies, but there's a cobra amongst them. Your focus isn't going to be on the puppies, it's the cobra. Right?
Yeah.
Puppies are just going to become nondescript in all of that. It's going to be, there's a cobra. Yeah. Okay. We are programmed to automatically find the rubbish, the crap that's in the good stuff. But it's a choice whether you focus on that. It's your choice whether you're going to continue focusing. Like my son chooses to focus on what's crap. My daughter is trying to find a way to make change.
It's funny, isn't
right?
it?
But she is very proactive in her education. She's very proactive in her getting information and knowledge. And I have said to her, this is great that you're reading all these books, but all that's going to bring you is knowledge. It's the lived experience that will bring the wisdom. And that's my quote. 200 books will bring you knowledge. It's the lived experience that brings the wisdom. So allow that crap to come to you. Allow the shit to hit the fan. Great. Brilliant. What are you going to, the wisdom that's going to come from that? Amazing. Let's have it. Let's have it. Let's have it. Because that's why it's wisdom. It brings the wisdom that allows you to then make better choices in life going forward.
Fantastic. I can see where the architect of change comes from. Absolutely.
Yes.
How long have you had that title?
Not long, literally in this last couple of years. I mean, again, depending on where I'm speaking and how, what I'm going to be talking about, it sees that I felt it befitting to use it in this space.
Yeah.
Because there's a talk that I do around metathesiophobia, which is a deep fear of change, right?
Yeah.
And I talk about it in my keynote, where I talk about embracing it and being insistent on change happening. It has to happen, because I was living a life that I felt at the time, my parents just did what they could with what they had. There's no accusations of finger pointing here, because that's victim mode. A lot of people point the finger outwards at what's going on in their life, and it's literally all within, right? And once you acknowledge and recognize that we're all responsible for ourselves, and my parents weren't educated to the point where they could ever do anything except try and stay in a place of survival. So when you're in that mode, you're operating from fear. There's only ever love or fear that we operate in. It's not confusing. It's love or fear. So if we ask ourselves more often where we're operating from, we can in any given moment flick the switch on that. But the deep fear that people have of change is what keeps them stuck. And you're never going to be able to exercise that muscle of hope if you stay still. So this is where being an inviting change, it's doing, it's going to bring so many other dimensions and new energy into your life, so wish for change, always wish for change.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Do you know, we've been speaking for about half an hour now.
I know, it flies.
There is one question that I want to ask all my guests, though, and that is, do you have a message of hope for my listeners?
I think I've already kind of said it,
You have.
I've already said it in that sentence. It's like, wish for change to be able to exercise that muscle of hope. Connect with your core values. Mine is loyalty, honesty, integrity, transparency, and freedom. If you, and I guarantee you, if you find out your top 5, 3 really, but the top 5, you'll have 2 non-negotiables. Once you realize what they are, you can maintain hope, because you know that everything you're ever doing is always in alignment with the truth of who you are. Your North Star is what gives you that hope, knowing that you're on the right path.
Fantastic. Oh, that's just fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today, Buckso. It's been an absolute pleasure. I could talk to you for hours now.
Absolutely. Hey, if anybody wants me to come back and talk about anything that they've heard me talk about today in more detail, I would be more than happy to do that.
Fabulous. And how can we get hold of you if anyone's interested in finding out more?
I am more prevalent on Instagram at I am Buckso Dhillon, DHILLON. My spelling of my name is there, BUCKSO. I am Buckso Dhillon. I'm also, because I recently launched a magazine, House of Wisdom, which is giving spiritual entrepreneurs a voice. You can find me, that's on their Instagram at the House of Wisdom. HAUS is spelled that way. LinkedIn, Buckso DW. Facebook, Buckso DW.
I'll put links in the show notes, definitely. But thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, my love.
Thank you for listening to the Chronicles of Hope podcast with me, Annie Bennett. I hope you found inspiration, comfort, or perhaps even a newfound perspective around the meaning of hope. To find out more about the aims of the Chronicles of Hope organisation, please visit www.thechroniclesofhope.org, where you will find links to our social media accounts and where you will be able to make a much needed and appreciated donation. Thank you.